What's up guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to take out the Aprilia Tuono 660 for a little ride and have some fun with it. I'm going to do my best to explain to you guys what type of bike it is, who I think it's for, why would I buy a bike like this versus maybe like a super sport or maybe something like an MT-07 that's a little more realistic when it comes to price point, and what makes this thing so much more fun than something like an MT-07. So let's get on this thing, let's go for a ride, and I'll tell you guys what I think. So first, startup and engine sound. Here's our startup here. Be a racer. There we go. So we got the rocker switch for push to start. Let's give her a quick startup. So pretty tame, pretty quiet. But the intake sound, on the other hand, not so much. Yeah, she sounds good, honestly, for realistically having little to no exhaust note and mainly all intake note. That sounds freaking awesome, I think. There we go. So let's go have some fun with it. So I would say the first thing to talk about would be the engine. We have a 659cc motor in this bike, and it is essentially the same motor that is in the RS660. The difference is it's slightly detuned that you won't notice because the gearing is different in the bike, which gives it a little more low-end grunt and torque. So that's what makes it kind of more fun and more of a street bike than a race-styled bike. It makes it kind of sticks true to that Tuono name. That's kind of the point, right? Is it's supposed to be a fun back road hooligan champion, but also give you that fun down low. So that's the engine for the bike. The ergonomics, I'd say, are the next best thing to talk about here, which is my feet are pretty much just barely forward of my ass, so I am not totally like pinched or bound in this thing. I'm not really being forced forward into that race style position. I'm in a nice comfy upright position. Obviously the handlebars are decently high. It's comfortable. I could ride this for hours on end. In fact, I have. All right guys, we are 3 hours into this now. I still feel pretty damn good, honestly, so I would say this is pretty cool. I would be dying if I was on my R7 right now. The only gripe I have right now is my butt's a little sore, but it doesn't really matter. You sit on any motorcycle seat for 3 hours, your butt's gonna be a little sore. I rode it from where I bought it in Long Beach or Orange, California, and rode it all the way back to my house, so roughly 4 hours. Don't get me wrong, I was very nice. It was a long ride because I was varying RPMs the entire time, so I was nice to the bike. I took good care of it, got it through those first 600 miles and got the oil change. So if you guys are interested in the oil change on the RS660, because you want to do it yourself, that video will be coming out soon. Let's see if this one has a lot of debris. No, this one's nice. Right on. Yeah, baby. So you can see, like, back road wise, she's freaking awesome. Like, the suspension feels so good on this bike. Yes, it needs to be tuned. I do feel a little bit of forward and backwards rocking, so tuning the bike would be great, or the suspension, but the suspension isn't crap. That's what's cool. Like, you buy an MT-07 and good luck riding that thing out on some back roads like this. I'll put a clip up of when I had a fun time with the MT-07. I'm not saying it's bad, but you did notice you were basically on a Sea-Doo. That's non-adjustable, sloppy ass fun bouncing around suspension, which is fine if you don't want to ride hard on back roads and all you're really doing is hooliganing with the bike. That's probably fine. You got to know what you want to do on the motorcycle. I love to ride hard on back roads like this. I love to take my bikes to the track. But to me, that's what my R7 is mainly for, and this is going to be more for getting to and from work. And of course, if I'm on my way home, I don't have to like not have fun on some back roads. I can if I want to take an alternate route home and come hit some stuff like this, because the bike is really capable. So there's your suspension piece. It's not as good as the RS660. Yes, the suspension is not as good, but it's still way the hell better than something like an MT-07 or Z650. So back to the ergonomics of the bike. I am what, 5 foot 10 inches or 70 inches. It is well designed for me and my height, for sure. Obviously things are adjustable. You could raise or lower these handlebars depending on, you know, buying some different clamps and stuff like that if you wanted to raise this position. I would say I love it the way it is. Like, it's just low enough to where I could really kind of have some fun on some back roads like this, but yet it's not like so low that I feel like I'm on a race bike. I really feel like I'm on my mountain bike right now with these big, long, wide handlebars, and I have so much control over this motorcycle. Like, it tips so easily. It's so freaking playful, which I think is super cool about it. And then in addition to that, like, what makes it even more playful would be the rake of the fork is actually in slightly, so your wheelbase is shorter than the RS660, so it really kind of leans towards that let's go play atmosphere or aspect of riding, where you're gonna have to put a little more effort. And I've noticed that with my R7 is I get out and ride these roads and have a great time just ripping, but when I bought this and took it out here, I was like, oh, that's the difference. Like the playfulness and how easy it is to turn in the bike. I've always said that the R7 is a very fantastic playful motorcycle. This is way more playful than that. Now, don't get me wrong, I would rather have my head down in these positions in front of the bike and the handlebars kind of in the way, so getting into that true, like, leaning off the bike position is considerably more difficult, because I want to put that, you know, weight on that front end of the motorcycle, and it's harder to do it with a bike like this. However, it does counteract that difficulty of doing that with the rake as well, so that's really cool. Just neat aspects of like how much thought process went into this motorcycle to make it kind of be what it is really cool. So dashboard, let's get into the dashboard of this thing. It is freaking cool. Right now it's white because it's light. If you're in the dark, I'll show you a clip of that. That's what it looks like in the dark. It auto switches over. You have tons of different rider modes just to kind of change it up. Like when I first bought it, through the first 600 miles, I did my best. Like if you see under here, there's a little button here on your right joystick. You can change between commute, dynamic, and individual. And individual allows you to change all the settings and parameters within that map. However, commute and dynamic, they're already preset for you. They are what they are. But I definitely rode her in commute. Actually kind of enjoyed the power output in commute. And then in dynamic, we get a little bit more aggressive feel of the bike. Supposed to get a little more throttle control, a little less traction control, a little less ABS. I think it's okay. It's not like a great, I haven't thought it was a great feel, but I've been mainly riding in dynamic as I'm trying to get used to it. Woo, feel that front end, man. It just wants to come up so bad. I don't know how many times I'm going to tell you this is a fun bike, but this is a fun bike. This is dope. I get to come out here, rip, have fun comfortably. That's rad. Ooh, bumps. There we go. So she clutchless upshifts quite well. I'm not good at burping her down yet, but it does it pretty decently. Now that we've talked about some shifting, let's talk about that difference right there. You don't get... What's up, power? Yeah, she gets it pretty good, guys. So let's talk about a little bit back on some power differences. The RS660 comes with the quick shifter, the auto blipper, so it's quick shift up and down, which is really cool. That's only a $200 plug and play add-on for this bike, and it also has an IMU in it, so it can sense lean angle of the bike and do some extra stuff with traction control. And supposedly the lights could, like as you lean the bike over, that left light, because of the IMU knows we're leaning, will basically put the brights on that left light, which is kind of cool. Maybe not necessary, but sure, whatever. That IMU would be pretty cool. It's only $200 as well. And then still staying back on upgrades and dynamics. I'm all over the board here, guys. Sorry. I'm so excited to ride it. I'm having so much fun. I've only had it for like a week and a half, and I've been just enjoying the crap out of it. But it also has Bluetooth compatible device that you can buy and install on the bike as well. What that does is supposedly give you GPS and allow you music and a bunch of different things, or answer a phone, which is pretty cool. So that's another upgrade I'll probably do down the future. In fact, I'll definitely be buying the quick shifter auto blipper, and I will make a video of installing that if you guys are interested, as well as the IMU and that Bluetooth adapter. Another really cool feature of this bike is going to be the lighting. The lighting is all LED and it looks freaking sexy as hell. Check out these front daylight running lights. Those things look freaking awesome. And with a quick tap of a button up on top of the right dashboard, we can turn daylight running off and have no daylight running lights, which obviously I like to have them because they look dope as shit, but it also is all auto, so if it gets dark, DRLs turn off and the regular light turns on. If you want high beams here, you've got a pull back to pass high beam, or push it forward to get a full high beam, or just leave it in the center and it'll keep those DRLs on, which is pretty cool. God, I love that shift light. You guys see that pattern right there? It looks so sexy. So another major aspect, obviously a pretty hard one to deny here, and I would say the Italians do one hell of a job on these Aprilia motorcycles. Let's face it, regardless of what style and type of motorcycle you want, whether it's a upright sport naked or a straight up race bike, Ducati and Aprilia, they just make some ungodly sexy gorgeous motorcycles. And they are generally very high quality builds, to the point where I would even say that they go over and beyond. It's like buying a Ferrari versus buying a Honda. A Honda is not from the factory over-tuned and ready to race and ready to wear out really fast. A motorcycle like this, Ducatis and Aprilias, they are from the factory tuned up to be, you know, race-styled machines. Now, of course, we can tune them even farther, but from the factory, they're already pushing more out of that motor than most common manufacturers are going to do for a motorcycle. And that's mainly because of reliability, durability, longevity of the motor. Yamaha's, Kawasaki's, Hondas, they want you to have that motorcycle for a long duration of time and enjoy riding it. These Italian motorcycles, they want you to go wow when you ride it all the time. That's the plan. And yes, they wear out faster. There's no doubt that there's higher tolerances in the motor and that they're pushing the fuel-air ratios a little harder than a regular manufacturer would. So that's something to think about when it comes to buying a bike like this, because you're gonna, that's the main thing you're gonna hear, right? Is it a reliable motorcycle? I would say I think it's a reliable motorcycle to a certain extent, and I think you need to know that going into it. You don't go buy a Ferrari expecting to put 300,000 miles on it. That ain't gonna happen. Not unless grandpa's driving it at friggin' 45 everywhere he goes and stays up on his maintenance. But the reality is, you're gonna buy a bike like that because you're gonna ride it hard. So who do I think this motorcycle is for? I think that's probably a good one. We'll get that in before we go and do the freeway test. Will be the last thing. I definitely am not going to say this is a beginner bike, which I say about almost every mid-range sport bike. I feel that they all have just a tad bit too much power for you to get on, and on top of this one having a ton of power, well, a good amount of power that's maybe a little bit too much for a beginner. It also has so many electronics and whiz-bang things to play with that, you know, you probably don't need to be messing with while you're riding. There's just so much going on this motorcycle. You would be better suited off, if you're a beginner, riding something a little less cray-cray than this. Oh, I love the undulation, and you feel that. So cool. Sorry, hard to talk and ride at the same time. Or at least ride and have fun. Look at these golden rolling hills. I miss the green. I want the green back so bad. Such a beautiful place to come ride when it is green and beautiful out here. Yeah. See, to me, this would only be fun on like a race motorcycle. There's no way that like a crappy suspension, normal sport naked would be that much fun at lean angle. I really can't wait to get this suspension tuned. This is freaking rad, guys. This is normally reserved for my R7. Oh, coming in hot. Phew. Oh man, does she tip over so good. So good. God, that feels amazing. Sorry, review to me just review turned into me just having fun on some back roads. This thing is freaking rad, guys. And these freaking tires, these Super Corsas, wow, man, are they sticky. This feels freaking great. Woo, there goes that front end. Man, it just wants to come up. You can feel that traction control. And that's another cool part about the traction control. It doesn't feel really invading. Like, I can feel the front end coming up, which is cool, but it's not like shutting it down and making it like slam back to the ground. It's almost like I don't even notice it coming back down the way it's working. And I don't even have the IMU, so I can only imagine how much better the bike could feel having real traction control. So what do you guys think of the sound of this thing? I mean, this is a stock muffler. That intake sound is so nice. Yeah, see, and that's where I wouldn't mind the engine braking being a little less. I need to get in and mess with individual mode, because I took all the traction control out, turned off the anti-wheelie, and turned off the ABS so that I could kind of play with the bike a little bit more. Kind of think while I'm out here doing this kind of crap, I'd rather have that traction control behind me. Feeling fantastic. That power delivery is so nice. Oh, we didn't talk about that. So what I have noticed about the bike is it's got decent torque down low, which is cool. But up to about like 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, it's got like a nice little bite. It's fun. But then from that to like 8,000 RPM, it's like deadline. It doesn't have anything in there for you. And then all of a sudden at like 8, 9, she starts turning into an R6. It starts becoming like a race motorcycle. It's super trippy to have that many ranges within the mapping or the throttle profile or the engine profile, how it runs. Super freaking weird. It's totally different, but man, is she fun. Alright, last and final review, or final piece of this review for you guys, is going to be a freeway test. We're going 85-ish right now, and I can feel the wind pretty good, chest up. I did, however, ride this bike for 4 hours when I first bought it, and the majority of it was all freeway, speeding up and slowing down the whole way back. And depending on how much wind there is in general, it could kind of push you around a little bit, but ultimately it's not as bad as I had expected. I've already bought the Puig windscreen that I'll be putting on here that's supposed to double the height, and I think at that point this bike will be pretty dang good for commuting at that point. And hell, if you rode maybe a little bit more reasonable speeds, like 65, 70 like we're supposed to, it's not bad at all. But like I said, I got that Puig windscreen en route. I'll be making a video on that, the installation of it, and let you guys know what I think of it. And then another major aspect of this motorcycle that is totally cool is we have cruise control. And if you push and hold this to the left for a few seconds, you'll get that flashing cruise control light there, and then push it over one more time, and we are officially letting Jesus take the wheel. And this is amazing, guys. It is super windy out here, and it's hard to keep the bike straight, but this is freaking rad. Now, to shut off the cruise control, you could just run the throttle forward a little bit and it'll cut it off, or use either of the brakes. But then you have that flashing cruise control that'll drive you crazy. But even when you're cruising, you can speed up, slow down by just this little button here, which is pretty neat. So, pretty cool. I always shut it off because I just simply can't stand looking at the cruise control flashing. But having cruise control is an absolute game changer. What a unique, cool thing to have on a bike. This is the first time I've ever been able to use cruise control, and I think it's friggin' rad. So the commuting aspect of this bike is going to be really cool. As for miles per gallon here, you can see we're getting roughly 42.3 miles per gallon has been kind of the average for the bike, and that's with me riding it quite aggressive. So 45-ish miles per gallon is probably what we're really getting out of this motorcycle when we ride it like normal commuting day to day. You might be able to push a little bit more if you're running the bike in commuter mode and you're really nice to it. I am never really nice to a motorcycle. So I'm pretty happy with 42, honestly, with the way I rode it for the for the last couple weeks. So super excited, absolutely loving this bike. Crazy unique, and if you're into sport nakeds, this has got to be on your category for 10.5. Well, thanks again for watching, guys. I got a lot of R7 content and some more upgrades and maintenance videos coming for the Aprilia here. If you're interested, like, subscribe, all those fun things. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.